Hello, friends. It's John Clan third of episode 211 of Shadow and Flame of Magic, your premier Kitty Pryde Locky and Magic podcast. And I'm going to deep dive into Excalibur, Volume 1, Issue 44, discuss the Avengers Doomsday trailer. You know which one. Marvel Snap. Then we're going to get into comics of X-Men Volume 7, 23, Wolverine Volume 8, 14, Marvel Rivals, The Cities of Heaven 1. Ultimate Wolverine 13, Ultimate X-Men 23. Um, so let's get into it. Spoilers for all things coming. As I head towards 44, we're going to review issue Excalibur 44. Great Alan Davis cover. Megan and Rachel talking to a fortune teller. You are going to meet a tall, dark stranger. Spoiler warning, only Megan appears in with the fortune teller later. This is the 30th anniversary of the Fantastic Four from 1961 to 1991. So let you do the math of how long ago 1991 was. Tales to terrify and timid teenagers. Inside cover ad has Sonic the Hedgehog. He's going places. The powerful Captain Britain, the shape-changing Megan, the intangible Shadowcat, the teleporting Nightcrawler, the mysterious Phoenix, the ever-unpredictable Widget, and Loki the Dragon. Forged in the fires of their tragic past, they have banded together to fight a modern-day crusade against the forces of evil. Stanley presents Excalibur in the witness for the prosecution, and Brian Braddock is on trial. This is brought to us by Alan Davis, the writer penciler and legend. Mark Farmer, inker. Michael Heisler, letterer. Glynis Oliver, colorist, my favorite, proper legend herself. Terry Cavanaugh, editor. Tom and DeFago, editor-in-chief. And Excalibur, created by Chris Claremont and Alan Davis, which is fun. Otherworld, fabled realm of Roma, supreme guardian of the multiverse, and the headquarters for her universal police force gathered here to judge one of their own in a court martial of great pomp and ceremony. And so Brian's mostly being held accountable for breaking Nightcrawler's leg in a fit of jealousy the previous issue, and they're just tired of his nonsense. And he has an attorney. Um, I'm looking for her name. It's Linda something something. And the Captain America Britain Corps has a rule where if you defend a defendant, then whatever punishment is dealt out to the defendant, also the defense counsel takes the um part of the punishment. Yeah, her name's definitely Linda. And then he's being represented by the worst of the Captain Britain Corps. We do get an example of like Sister Gaia's, who in reality plucking a flower is an act of gross brutality, and so certain universes have different moral codes. Earth 616, England, high in the Yorksville Dallies. Rachel and Megan are on their road trip era, or at least arc, and they are she's Megan's trying to find out where she's from because it's been a missing piece for her. We get this great collection of X-Men action figures that I'm pretty sure I had like Storm and Magneto, maybe Wolverine, and Nightcrawler 2 way up here in the garage. Rachel projects her consciousness, feels radiant emotions of apprehension, confusion, and she touches Megan's mind, trust, and love. Cautiously, she probes deeper, prepared for the normal array of psychic shields. Then we get this great splash page here of all of her Megan, because Megan's so pure of heart, she's never had any reason to put mental barriers, and so her mind's just wide open. You have Kitty Pryde over here, and there are none. Rachel plunges into the sea of splintered memories. Swirling shards of experience fall together, then fly apart in ever-changing patterns of remnants. The tagging, raging tide of raw emotion overwhelms her. She feels herself drowning. And then Rachel screams, "No." And look at this Alan Davis, like just the ink coloring. Like, look at those eyes. Interesting, Rachel and Megan both have green eyes. It just works. And so Megan remembers a childhood friend of hers, and they're gonna go visit her in London. And um so that's where they are. And then because the Technic destroyed parts of the lighthouse, they remodeled it, and now it looks like this, which it looks like a giant mushroom, right? A mushroom. Elsewhere, Alistair Stewart, eccentric genius, radical philosopher, and senior counseling scientist to WHO, the Weird Happenings Organization, thanks Terry, has taken 8 minutes and 12 seconds to cross the rocky causeway. During the time, he has drawn all of his analytical skills to deliver a carefully measured reaction to the modified Excalibur lighthouse. And so he's just cracking up, and then he comes across the Technic who are fighting each other. He gets punched. Aristair is spared further pain as he tumbles into the lighthouse's no gav elevator and spins upward into the column of zero gravity. And I should mention you can follow along too on my TikTok and YouTube channels at Jacko SII. There should be a proper like page by page quick review, and then I'm going to upload the pure Kitty Pryde and Lockheed images on Sunday, which only really counts if you're listening to this when I release it. But um, on YouTube, you can at least go to the playlist SNFWM, and which I like to always, whenever I add a video to them, I'm like, oh yeah, because they're shorts, and the podcast is the playlist that's a Shadow and Flame of Magic all spelled out. These are the clever thoughts I have. And so Alistair is like whispering to himself, there's no place like home. There's no place like. And then Kurt grabs him. Kurt's still in his cast because it was just the previous issue. Kurt, Kitty, Lockheed, Widget. Very Master Splinter coded. I've made it back to Earth. Kitty says, you never left, silly. I didn't? What hit me? What hit Kurt? What do you want, Alistair? Oh, right. I've been invited to a rather interesting archaeological dig in Ireland, so I dropped by since I was in the neighborhood to see if Rachel might be interested in joining me. Get this close up of Kitty, who's like they're in a love triangle that neither. It's a triangle no one's satisfied in. He wants Rachel, Kitty wants Alistair, and Rachel doesn't want him at all. But perhaps there's another side of that triangle. Because that's the one thing that always bugs me about when people are like love triangles, and it's like, well, these 2 points don't touch. Like it's just a love V then in that scenario. Except what we know, perhaps Rachel and Kitty are on an on again, off again situation. She's gone to London, unfortunately, but I wouldn't mind keeping you company. Like, oh, Kitty. Actually, well, I mean to say, of course you can. Just let me grab a few things, and then she just runs off to grab a few things. That's fun. Not runs off, phases down. And usually when I think about the Alan Davis tenure, I'm like, what did he have Kitty do? Like, oh, that's right. She went on a dig and didn't really get to do much. And then the Technics start fighting again, and Kitty's gotten dressed and packed very quickly. And the Technic are allowed to stop um their construction so they can fight at lunchtime. That's how they want to do it. And Alistair's like, alien therapy, stress control. And Kitty's back, like, no, they just like hitting each other. Are you ready to leave? What about their lunch break has 10 minutes left? We go out this way. No, wait, there's no rush. I hate airwalking. Don't worry, I'll keep you phased as long as we're touching. Like, oh, Kitty. Like, she's definitely at least sending the right signals. Don't worry, I keep you phased as long as we're touching. Hold tight. See ya, Fuzzy. Take care, Captain. That's fun. And then we see that Lockheed and Widget are being left behind, as is happens to them. Then we get to Earth 148 with Kylon, who's awesome, known as E-Earth to its inhabitants, and oppressed people risen now to challenge the masses forces of the evil tyrant Netcom. And always where the battle is thickest, the people's champion Kylon and their princess Satine. and they're just fighting off goon after goon. The rebellion continues. So it's just a little subplot as we build it up because Alan Davis co-created this title with Chris Claremont, and those two know how to create subplots, which I miss subplots, but that's back when you just were writing comics forever and you didn't know you had 5 issues or 6 issues, or maybe even three. London, 616 London, and Megan's talking to her friend, Josie. Rachel's suddenly aware that her heavy psychic armor and destructive potential is a treacherous deceit to the unguarded sincerity of these ordinary people. She smiles politely because it is expected. She is ashamed of the lie. So she dispatches her shield and, for the first time since acquiring the Phoenix Force, wills it to be dormant. And so Megan and Josie are going upstairs, and Rachel's just talking to their parents. Apparently, their young son was friends of Brian when they were young, and then the son passed away, and Brian keeps in touch. And Josie remembers there's a fortune teller in town and sends Megan off. So it's just a fun little side quest they're on. Meanwhile, the Excalibur mushroom and Inspector Day, DEI, is there with Miss Emily Witherspoon. And if you ever heard about Nightcrawler's fur being velvet, it comes from this issue, 144. And if you're a fan of Oh Gosh, Golly Wow podcast, which of course I'm a huge fan with Dr. Andrew and Dr. Mav, or they're all doctors, and Picard, they um they delve deeply into just this scene for a while. And Witherspoon says, "Might I be permitted to stroke your fur?" And he's like, "Please," which is just an odd request. But I think about Mav all the time, where he's like, "Yeah, sometimes people want to touch his hair," and it's like, no, that doesn't seem great. Anyway, so they have a case they want to do. There's been a series of robberies, and they've prepared airtight security, the most sophisticated surveillance systems, but we were unable to detect the thief, much less apprehend them. So they need Excalibur. And Kurt's like, "Well, they're out, but I got the tech." Oh no! So he's like, "Sorry, you have the pass." And they're like, "Well, about these goons?" And they're like, "Oh, this is the Technic. It's too ridiculous." But they gotta stop a robbery. So back in London, Megan's talking to the fortune teller. Oh yeah. And then there's that call 1-900 phone X-Men game you could have done back in the day. I never got to do it, but you could have played as Wolverine, Iceman, Cyclops, or Banshee. And it would have cost you, oh, I thought it said it here easily. Oh yeah, the first minute's 175 and 75 minutes for every additional minute, maximum call 4 minutes. So, for $6, but for a reason, I was not allowed to do it. Would have been fun. Meanwhile, outside, the door locks yields to simple telekinetic persuasion. Then the Phoenix aura flares as Rachel reinstates her defenses and releases the devastating force from his temporary confinement. So she saw there was a thievery happening, robbery. And so an impossible apprehension, invisible and barely tangible, struggles to be free. And Rachel's confused by what it is, and then she gets harassed by Micromax. Or as I always like to write it, Micromax. And Rachel defeats him pretty easily. He thinks she's robbing the place, and then his police force tells him that no, we picked up on an image. She's safe. Megan comes down, and Rachel and her leave together. And I forget where the thief plot line's going, but I guess we'll find out more. There's this September Cool meter, which I always think are fun time capsules. It starts with Cool being Julia Roberts, The Adventures of Captain America, the Fox Network. And this is in November 1991, so I think the Fox block is happening right at the moment. Dinks, otherwise known as a double income, no kids. Child TV stars in prison, always timeless. Paula Abdul, Bananas, which I like. Immunity. Diplomatic immunity. Motorcycles, Tiny Toons Adventures. I would have had that much higher. Marrying Millionaires, 70s rock groups, Total Lunar Eclipse, Marvel Fanfare. I would have had that higher. Country western music, Rick Dees, who I don't recognize. Lip syncing, always popular. Goatees, tube socks, flea markets, Keith Sutherland, because I think this is the failed marriage wedding of Julia Roberts and Keith Sutherland. Bowling and the metric system. And then we get back to Otherworld, and Captain Jerk is listing all of Brian's crimes. Captain Britain 616 further insulted the Corps when he subordinated himself to become a mere member in the group of costume adventurers operating under the sobriquet Excalibur. The self-same group caused untold disruptions to numerous realities when they made a series of illegal interdimensional transits during the Cross-Time Caper. The Cross-Time Caper was yet another opportunity for Captain Britain 616 to desert his designated post and to display his contempt for the Corps. He adopted the official uniform of Captain Marshall 1193 without Corps approval and with flagrant disregard of Corps dress code. That happened in issue 13. He created conflict and fought with every other Corps designated he encountered in issues 10, 22 through 24, and off repeated offenses I myself can testify. But the most obscene spectacle of his depraved career came with the accused made a vicious attack on one of the population he sworn to protect. This I propose to the final unforgivable outrage of a vile traitor. And then Brian relieves Linda of her attorney. We see his judging the judges over his counsel. One of them's a fun little hippie. And as soon as they relieve Linda, Brian states he's going to make no plea because I refuse to recognize the authority of this court. And so everyone's like, roar, scoundrel, outrage, bah humbug. And so his ruling, Captain Britain 616, by rejecting your right to a defense, you have accepted your guilt. You are hereby sentenced to death, effective immediately. And Brian is perhaps going to die now. Next issue, Nightcrawler's Technic, the Endmen, as they say. There's letters from Captain Berwin in Washington, Michael J. Church, who requests to have his address withheld, Nicholas Hood from England, Shane Beckenmelm in Utah, Raymond Bradley also requested his address be secret, Brent Boatland in California, Steve Shoshnowski in Minnesota, Carlos Fernandez in Florida, and lastly, Chris, last name illegible. Oh, poor Chris. I also have horrible handwriting, so that's going to happen to me. And New York. Next issue, Riot on Otherworld, the introduction of the Endmen, and that's only the beginning. So we'll do issue 45 next year. Oh yeah, I must have gotten this from Mile High Comics because they just put a little near mint. And so I'm going to try keeping it near mint as I put it into the bag and hope the tape doesn't stick to the cover. It didn't. We mission accomplished. Oh, and there was a Wolverine video game I have no idea about. No. And that, everyone, was Excalibur 44. Let's see what we're doing next. All right, so we get the Avengers Doomsday trailer, or another one. So we know Captain America is coming back. Apparently, they released a Thor one that seemed to come out very quietly. And sorry, I just came back from the laundry and rushed it some up. So it's mostly we just hearing a voiceover from a very familiar voice as we see the X Mansion in disarray. You see on the ground is Xavier House of Gifted Students school, and which is it's inside the mansion, so it's like, oh no, like someone took that down and then threw it into the house. And then we start seeing a wheelchair of X Wills, which is awesome. And then we see Patrick Stewart, Sir Peace and we see who finally speaking to him, and it's Magneto. Like Doctor, or not Doctor, Sir Ian McKellen is back, and they touch hands because they're playing chess, and it's just great. So we're in for a treat. Even if the X-Men are only in this thing for 5 minutes, it's gonna be like the best 5 minutes of the film. So I'm excited for that. I'm still apprehensive about Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, but like this is just what's coming. And then we cut to black, and then we see just a flames everywhere as we see a Sentinel boot coming to the camera as we see one of the greatest X-Men, Cyclops, James Marsden, back, and he's doing a giant optic blast in like a very 90s style costume. And so it's just like we're getting the X-Men, and that's pretty great. It's everything I could ask for. And that's coming like Christmas this year now. So we'll see what we're doing. I got my 3 comics I'm gonna do for December. Pulled for it. I think we're all in for a treat. And um oh, and then we got Marvel Snap, which I'm late in playing today, but it is a dragon season. It's $10 for the battle pass. I'm not gonna buy mine until I get to the Lockheed playing deck. But Lockheed's in the game. He's not part of the battle pass except for the playing card back. But he pairs well. He's a 2 energy card and works well with Kitty Pryde. You play him, and then every time you play a 1 card, which is what Kitty Pryde is, he knocks off a health point of a opponent's card in the same row or column. And so you play him, you play her, and then you just keep knocking down. You play Magic, and then which gives you makes it a 6 round game, a 7 round game. So she doesn't quite sync well with them, but gives you more like one more round to knock off health points. So that's what I play. And now you have Beast in it too, so that I can play a kitty card, play his card, and then she's 0 energy cost the next round. So I don't know. I've been playing Marvel Snap. I've been liking it. I just do my dailies and then I'm out. Unless the dailies are like win by 1 card, like win a slot with 1 card. And I'm like, if I get that, I get it. But usually I'm like, I do the plays 6 cost cards and 5 cost cards. And after that, I'm like, well, I did it. So usually, 5 matches done. So, oh, and Sheena, Fortnite leaker himself, came out and said that Valentine's Day we might get Luna Snow and Magic as a character. So I'll probably just buy the bundle with both of them because it'd probably be cheaper that way. But I'm excited to see next couple weeks what Magic might look like in the game. They're calling it a Marvel Rivals second wave, so I'm like, oh, I wonder what characters were in the first wave because I guess I should look that up. But because I don't think I'm missing any X-Men news, but I'm out of the top. Apparently, they're considered Wave One, the Doctor Doom 1999 as the Wave One. So I'm like, oh, no wonder I didn't register that as a Marvel Rivals thing. Um, I know we're trying to Walker D can play Marvel Rivals now, and so we've been trying to do matches like on the weekends to try to get a Star Lord Phoenix interaction, but it didn't happen the 5 matches we tried to do it, and I'm like, well, that's disappointing, but should try to get on my schedule again and try to do it one more time. Um, but yeah, I'll at least play Fortnite again with Magic there. So we'll see how expensive she is. Looking the way one up, a lot of people are quoting HypeX, which I'm like, oh, I'm more of a Sheena guy, so I guess but no one's saying it's confirmed yet, but they're all quoting the leakers, and the leakers are usually right. So I mean, we had a leaker that told us back in November Lockheed was coming in January, so these data miners, I mean, that's how they get all their information. So, they're in the file. It's just a matter of when. So yeah, so that's Avengers Doomsday, Marvel Snap, and Fortnite updates. So let's get into the comics. So we have X-Men Volume 723. We're back out of Age of Revelation, except this X-Men's now doing Age of Revelation Fallout. Future Scott swaps minds with the present day Scott. He does optic blast Doug, but doesn't even cause him a concussion. He figures out pretty quickly that Future Beast didn't swap with him. I guess the plan was for Future Beast was supposed to deliver the death blow. Seems not like Cyclops had trained for X years just to fail at this crucial moment. I do like how he had a plan to attack the X-Men and he succeeds at that rather well. He takes out Quick Inquire first, then Psylocke, who he was most concerned about. He dodges Juggernaut, realizes how he must succeed. Optic blasts his magic, takes her sword, which is rude. Knocks down Glob Herman and Beast tackles Future Scott. In prison, and I like how this was teased in Age of Revelation finale, so we think this is the end of the story. Future Scott is in the Brig? Yeah, Brig. He explains the situation, but no one wants to kill Doug, as there must be a better way. I really love that Doug and Bay, the Blood Moon, are creating their own sign language. That's very cute. Oya reminds Doug of her time on Krakoa, which I appreciate that we haven't forgotten she was a prisoner during that era. Future Scott breaks out and chats with Magneto, who sticks to a story that he is powerless. So, which is it? Is he faking it? Is Age of Revelation already a splintered timeline that will be shredded from memory? Psylocke shows up and Future Scott is back in the brig. Doug goes to talk to him, and dumb Future Scott just tells Doug that he's going to take over the world by simply telling people to obey him. Like, geez, Scott, just give him the directions to rule already. This isn't the Scott I know, which is all the AOR characters. He's the one character we don't know. Issue ends with Doug, Bay, and Warlock simply leaving. I like how Magic clearly had the thought that she wasn't going to fight Scott, and after his attack, she grabs her soul sword and leaves the issue. My headcanon is that she got attacked by him and decided to go hang out with her other brother, Colossus. I also really like how this issue doesn't try to sell you on the Age of Revelation crossover. There's not even an editor's box to tell you to read the crossover. Are you interested to know where this future Scott's from? Go check out Age of Revelation. He's simply a Cyclops from the future. If you're interested, you can look it up. So that's very new user friendly. Wolverine Volume 814. All I really want from a solo Wolverine title is to be a team up book with characters I enjoy, and I'm a sucker for Silver Sable. That's the 90s Spider-Man fan in me. I would have loved an Uncanny Spider-Man reference, as we must not forget Uncanny Spider-Man. I just learned last week that Funko made an Uncanny Spider-Man pop, and I think about it every day. He's very cute. Silver Sable's a lady who stays on task, and I don't see her asking Logan about Kurt, though that would have been a very fun continuity note. I keep noticing Jesus Abertoft's coloring this issue and really liking it. It really highlights Mart NC Cocola's art. Logan runs out of gas and comes across a not so abandoned town, two mutants, and I just love so much that they took the time to give themselves code names. That's just so cute. They do a decent job of learning Logan that they are there, but it is Silver Sable who gives him pause. She twinks him, giving him a bit of a buzz. Her "Are you high?" panel is a delight. Some military goons show up, and I like how they had a mission statement to just show up, make sure no one was too dangerous, and leave. But then Logan shows up, spanks them, and now it's a whole thing. Metha, who is in charge of some Department H division, is done with Logan's nonsense and calls an alpha flight at the issue's end. We get a classic lineup of Vindicator, Puck, Snowbird, and maybe Mara. It's definitely a green lady with big old bat wings. I don't know. It's such a good issue. I really liked it. And then we get Marvel Rivals Cities of Heaven, #1. Magic was named in the solicitations, which I appreciate, as that means I can order a comic as it is released instead of adding it to my far too big wish list. Magic only appears on one page, but it's a fun page where she's teaming up the Hulk to fight Angela, who's trying to set off all these giant dragons. This comic is all about Luna Snow trying to get in to a gig in Kowloon, where Iron Fist gets his powers. She wasn't given the exact location and trying the best to get there. We get a fun moment where she's taken back by how tall Angela is. She gets to one bar where Winter Soldier and Namor are fighting, but she calms them down with old war bond theme. Apparently, she's very old, as Penny Parker says later that her grandmother was a huge Snow Luna Snow fan, and this is only the second comic I've read with her, so I'm not that familiar with her backstory. I read her in that Doom's division where she and Karma had a little flirtmance, and so I was like, well, I like anyone Karma likes. I play Marvel Rivals not too much, so I'm not sure if I'm ever seen her in the game. I do like how hectic the game is and how much this comic matches that energy. To get directions maybe to the actual location, she has to do a drink off with Logan, which I like the rules being first one to finish, as if it was the first one to fall. That wouldn't be fair. She freezes his hand and does her best to finish her drink. She wins, but the guy didn't think she was going to win, so this was fruitless. Cloak and Dagger agreed to help the actual bar out, but Cloak gets his lanes and avenues confused and sends her to where Doctor Doom is. This turns out to be a Doom bot. but she lets him be her backup singer. He'll tell her where the bar is. She agrees, and turns out the dragons burned the place down. So she goes back to the bar Winter Soldier, Namor, and Logan are, and has a blast. Before that, we are introduced to Mark the Cave Squid as opposed to Jeff the Land Shark, so that's fun. Daredevil was there too. He's never been a lawyer, and his mission is to vanquish all wars, and he's got his powers from the dragon, Lin Long. So I'm not familiar at all with the lore of Marvel Rivals besides the Rogue and Gambit got married as I play that season. Apparently, all the mutants are in a different dimension, and that is where we don't have many of them in the game. I was told that on Reddit. Paul Laurer wrote a fun story, and the art is great. Michael Scheffer and Eric Gapster. D. Cuniff is the color artist, and VC's Joe Sabino is the letterer. Then we get to our two Ultimate titles. Ultimate Wolverine 13, we begin a magic arc, so I guess I'm still on for the rest of the series. I'm all for a series getting extra issues if those extra are going to focus on magic. I guess I might as well follow Ultimate in-game until the end. They're definitely building towards something issue 4. Issue opens with a young Ilyana Rasputin, no A. She has only ever feared one man, a true monster, a thing that welcomed her into limbo. The character is definitely super gray with a red cloth for an outfit. Could just be a gray Belasco, but he has both arms. But I'll miss the pink. But there isn't that many pink characters, and especially pink male characters. Wolverine and Sentinel are taking care of Jean Grey. She's hurt and needs medicine. So Logan's sent to get some. He comes across Ursa Major, the bear Canadian, eating Crimson Dynamo. They are in your Russia. Logan has to kill Ursa Major, who is, of course, a simple beast who was experimented on. He gets to the medicine, but sees that someone on the wall graffiti, bring them home, Ilyana Rasputin. I didn't recognize any of the characters, but the arc is called The Search for Ilyana Rasputin, so I'm all in. Ultimate X-Men 23, Peach Momoko, Zach Davison, and Travis Lantham give us such a compelling penultimate issue. I believe you're only got one more after this. We are introduced to Makoto Amano, who I feel is very Doug Ramsey coded, but maybe I'm completely off base here. Issue opens with Akihiro still being tortured, so we shouldn't forget that is happening. Every couple pages, like chapter breaks, we get this very intriguing handwritten information on the top of each page. Starts with Zero Amano, who is the Escape 256. Number 1, March 2024, Hisako. 256 telling Maid that Armor's still around, but is he like a ghost? 4, June 2024, Nico. Nico gets a warning from a pair of floating red eyes. 5, July 2024, Secret Society X-Men. I want the spinoff. Also 5, July 2024, Natsu. Amano taunts Natsu, which isn't very nice. 8, October 2024, Meat Case. Good reminder that Cannon's brother was one of the first characters introduced. 9, November 2024, Cannon. Amano helps Cannon channel her ancestors through her stick. It's a pretty big stick. Also, 9 November 2024, Friend. May hasn't given up on Armor yet. Didn't issue 22 end with Christmas? Interesting that we have gone back to fill that skip time. Number 11, January 2025. New Home. Natsu is taken back in with the Children of the Atom, who Amano hates as much as he does the X-Men, it seems. 12, February 2029. Purpose. May's Toad Armor still out there. 13, March 2025, Crew. Natsu isn't sure if she deserves to be part of the team. She should be part of the team. She's great. 22, December 25, Result. Did May get murked? We see her face with what appears to be blood coming at her, from her. I'm not sure. Such a crucial page to not know what is happening. Amano clearly did something to her as she floats into the sky and appears to be another shadow-like being. I mean, I don't know what's going on here. I was following the whole issue, and then all of a sudden, I was like, wait, what's happening? So it's good cliffhanger. Issue ends with Hai Chan maybe seeing Iron Lad's big speech. So I definitely think this is the penultimate issue. Next week's comics, we have Luna Snow World Tour 1. I'm actually excited to read this. Magic's on the cover, so it's at least being bought. Uncanny X-Men V's Volume 622, Mutuna returns. Battle World 5, Avengers 800, Dungeons of Doom 1. probably won't read this as I didn't enjoy the last Fallout issue. Will of Doom. Logan, Black, White, and Blood 1. I guess we'll see which characters show up in this. Probably be 3 stories of all of them just slashing goons. I know the preview page showed him slashing wolves. So, yeah, yeah. If you like Solo Wolverine, is probably the book for you. So my top 5 comics of 2026 are Wolverine 814, Marvel Rivals: The Cities of Heaven 1. It was just a fun issue. Ultimate X-Men 23, Ultimate Wolverine 13, and X-Men V7 23. So everyone, that was episode 211 of Shadow and Flame of Magic. You can follow me on my socials at Jackals SII at TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky. The podcast will be posting things from Excalibur at SNFWM on Instagram and Blue Sky. And thank you all for listening or watching if you're one of our YouTube friends. And I'll talk to you next time. All right, everyone. Bye.